At the centre of Scotland's largest city lies its beating heart. Glasgow Central Station is the transport hub that connects all our communities, with trains running from platforms both above and below ground. Up on the concourse, staff take on the daily challenge of keeping the whole nation moving, coping with delays.
Well, 1908's been cancelled. We're going to always be special, just at a time when we need it.
Crowds.
That's the queue halfway down Hope Street.
Coming down. Come on, guys, hurry up!
And everything a busy station can throw at them.
This is the biggest tour I've ever done. Come on, gather round.
While in the tunnels beneath, an army of engineers are about to take on one of the biggest renovations this railway has ever seen.
The last time the Argyle lines were closed, I wasn't even born.
This is going to be manic for 8 weeks, 24/7.
It is indeed the moment of truth. Sparks are going to fly.
As new faces join the central team, they must all work together.
If we could pull this off, it's got to be absolutely brilliant.
To keep the trains on track and ensure that everyone reaches their destination safely. It's now been 4 weeks since Glasgow Central Low Level shut its doors to the public to complete vital works throughout the Argyle line. The line closure has paved the way for essential tunnel repairs, line renewals and station renovations, while also providing a unique opportunity for another project several years in the making.
I just love this part of the station. Can you just imagine what it must have been like back in Victorian times, with steam trains coming in, the smoke, the steam, belching out for the engine?
Central's derelict Victorian platform, sitting just adjacent to Glasgow Central's Low Level, has been the highlight of Jackie and Paul's station history tours for years.
When the tours first started, it began with the guests just sticking their head through a hole in the wall up there. The potential down here is quite phenomenal.
And it's been a long-running dream of Jackie and Paul's to turn it into something much more, a living, breathing history space. Low-level trains running back and forth have always meant a large-scale renovation of this space isn't possible, but that has never stopped Jackie from thinking big.
It's just been a dumping ground for everybody. Everybody fly tips. So once we get rid of all of this and it's cleared, we're then going to lay some track here. Maybe some buffers at the end. I need to be imagining how it's going to look, so I can see a nice big shiny steam engine sitting there. People milling around in Victorian dress, adding to the atmosphere.
Normally, this work would require shutting down the rest of the low level to get equipment in and out, an expensive and disruptive obstacle that always stood in the way. However, the current and ongoing 8-week Argyle line closure provides the perfect opportunity for Jackie and Paul, and all they need now is to secure funding for the project.
So this place was built over 140 years ago. Why would you not want to save and enhance this incredible piece of engineering?
But that funding won't be easy to come by.
So we did submit a funding request for the Victorian platform in order to clear out and to develop it, lay track and bring in a steam engine. Unfortunately, that funding has been postponed for the moment. COVID has taken its toll on the railways financially, and money is very tight.
Missing this opportunity means the project is unlikely to ever happen, a bitter blow for both Jackie and Paul.
I could see the potential down there, you know, to turn it into an experience for visitors, not only from Glasgow, but from throughout the world as well. Unfortunately, at this present time, that opportunity is lost, but never say never for the future.
I keep believing that it will happen eventually. I hope it happens in my time. I would love to be part of it. I really do hope, because I've got great plans.
But even with the dream of a renovated living history space slipping away, Jackie is determined not to be deterred.
It's not the end of the world. There's plenty to be done. The museum is an ongoing project. You need to be able to flex and adapt. If you don't, you're just going to get very, very disappointed. I have appealed it and given more justification. I don't know whether we'll get it or not. I've got plenty to keep me busy.
As Jackie gets on with her work in the station, things are just as busy on the Argyll Line project as repairs reach the halfway mark. Rod Henry's team are responsible for the tunnel repairs across the project, and they're now tackling a critical point, the Kelvin Haw Tunnel at Exhibition Centre.
The tunnel is leaking like a sieve. There's quite an amount of water coming through.
This isn't the first time water has caused issues for this historic Victorian tunnel, having been hit by catastrophic flooding back in 1994.
So about 20 years ago, the tunnel's flooded. The water came down a disused tunnel where the River Kelvin breached its banks.
And there's chaos on the roads and the rail network. Hello, good evening. You're watching Reporting Scotland with Jackie Bird. Tonight, the news is dominated by the worst ever flooding to hit West Central Scotland. There are calls for Paisley to be made a disaster area and to be given urgent aid after the army was called in to help evacuate families. Elsewhere, there was widespread disruption on the roads and the railways.
Filling the tunnels with water, the flood brought the entire low-level network to its knees, and station manager Drew still remembers the night like it was yesterday.
The water was starting to come up a bit up the stairs here.
There must have been a terrible smell, Drew.
Oh, it was reeking, as they say, the reeking.
Does it ever come into your mind when you come down here sometimes?
Do you know, sometimes when I walk down the stairs and I go, oh, I remember the water was up to that level, so please, you know, I remember it well that night. That was 94, and then in 2022 we're doing a blockade work and it's closed again.
And it was none other than construction manager Rod who helped battle the flood and secure the tunnel all those years ago as a young engineer.
Rod, even back then, was involved in a tunnel work there. He is years and years later. Back in the Anderson blockade.
Rod has now returned to the same stretch of tunnel after 27 years, and the place is full of memories.
Nothing's changed. It's still cold and damp and dark and dingy. It's sunny outside and we're in a dark tunnel, but at least it's dry, mostly dry.
But today, there's a new crisis facing this historic stretch of Glasgow low level as water once again threatens the railway. And while it might not be up to the levels that Rod remembers, it could still put the entire Argyll Line project in jeopardy.
There's various sections of tunnel that are leaking. It doesn't just damage the track. With the water coming in the tunnel, it brings the fines out from the cement that holds the bricks in place, and it potentially washes away the mortar bed, and the bricks can become loose and become dislodged. So we're tackling 20 to 30 metre lengths over specific areas within the tunnel.
If Rod's team can't find a way to waterproof this Victorian tunnel, this section of railway won't be able to reopen, so they've investigated the tunnel's structure and think they might just have a solution.
So we're actually going in through the tunnel itself and under pressure inject a resin type material, and that forms a waterproofing barrier so that the water sheds round the outside of the tunnel.
Engineers Chris and James specialise in waterproofing stonework by flooding the inside of the walls with a special type of resin, and they're getting ready to make their first injection.
Still got to inject above the res to push the water out to release the pressure, and after we've got to put the core rails in after to release the pressure off the tunnel.
But with the tunnel dating back to the Victorian era, there's no telling how the original stonework will react to the resin, with a real danger of the hazardous substance bursting out of the walls. So it's vital they proceed with caution.
As we're doing the process, we just need to make sure that no people are walking through and there's no dripping from behind us.
Just keep an eye on what material is going in.
Well, if you want to start heading up, James, then we'll start firing it in.
Yeah, just give it a shot, mate.
But waterproofing the walls isn't the only work that the tunnel badly needs. As Chris and James prepare the resin for the pump, masonry teams are working around the clock to repair the existing water damage to the stonework in keeping with the original Victorian design.
We've got hydrated lime and a Portland cement along with building sand. It's a 4-in-1 mix we're using for in the tunnels, obviously trying to keep it traditional, obviously according with the drawing.
We're going to fill in all these joints that the boys have previously raked out and point all these back up so the joints only line open again. When we first came in, we were took back a wee bit about the kind of state of it, but it's getting fixed now.
We started down at the very start of the tunnel. Just now we're up at 360 metres. I think the scope of the works is taking us up to about 600. So hopefully another couple of weeks we can get ourselves out of here.
For the work to be done on time, the masonry teams must work in tandem with the resin specialists, who are now primed and ready for the first injection. While they've been preparing the resin, others have been drilling insertion points called packers in the ceiling above, allowing the resin team to move as fast as possible.
See, as James is up there, I'm down here measuring how much gear goes in by the control of these tubs.
When filling walls as old and unpredictable as these, a controlled touch is everything. But it's still vital they work fast to keep ahead of the sweeping masonry teams.
We need to try and hurry up, get along, so the ones behind us can start putting like the mortar in. So we need to get this stuff in quickly so they can come in behind us.
If we're late, they're late and vice versa, so we all need to communicate clearly together and make sure none of us are late.
The resin begins pumping through the tunnel walls and the team hold their breath to see if the stonework holds. But with a craftsman touch, the internal wall is filled and the resin holds.
That bit's complete now, mate, so just lift all the outriggers back up, get it moved. Hopefully we'll get the same again where nothing comes out, it just takes up the whole amount of resin that we need to be.
However, the teams still have hundreds of yards of tunnel to go, and with the 8-week deadline counting down, they can't afford to waste a second.
That's why it's a race against the clock, and that's why we're working 24/7, so that the trains can go back and passengers can get a service in 2 months' time.
Back at Central, the concourse is busy with the morning commute and staff are dealing with a flooding issue of their own.
Just been informed by the station reception staff that we've got some sort of blockage in the customer toilets, so contacted Stevie Gardner, the works delivery team, and Stevie's going to check out, investigate it right away, so unfortunately we need to close the toilets.
With a problem of this scale, maintenance team leader Stevie will need backup, so Drew goes to recruit the only man for the job.
Thanks.
For you?
Anything. Just to see how it...
Well, within reason.
To solve the mystery of the flooded toilet, both Stevie and Greg will need to delve underneath the station to investigate the plumbing.
The urinals connect in down there, and then the sinks come in as well, and it all runs back down here. From there, probably 10 to 12 metres of pipe, then maybe 2 metres up through, completely blocked. So it must have been backed up, possibly for a couple of days.
Through careful examination, Stevie has pinpointed the exact location of the blockage. Now they've no choice but to get inside and take a look.
Every toilet is blocked. This is the main lines for every toilet. Every wash hand basin, every urinal. Right, up through there, sir.
Aye, the right way.
Down, right.
How are you not putting it the right way?
No, up, sorry. No. Wait a minute, I'm doing the wrong. Disaster.
Where's that one from, Stevie?
Stinky.
Why is it?
Howling.
But opening up the toilet pipes can cause some pretty hazardous spillages and puddles.
It's not even there. See, if you don't acknowledge it's not there.
We need to disinfect all these tools.
And yourself.
So it's more important than ever to keep a good hold of your tools.
No.
Yeah, you deal with that then.
Aye.
That's just inexcusable.
I'll need to clean the socket itself. Ugh.
You come down here and you lose sense of time. It must be. What day is it?
Finally, the team managed to get their hands on the culprit.
A vape.
That.
It was across the pipe. The diagonal across the pipe, and it was just catching toilet paper. And then it would build up to eventually completely block.
You want a shot?
Hence, no thanks.
Cotton candy flavour as well.
Oh, my favourite.
The station manager might want to just explain, obviously that's what shut the toilets.
For evidence.
Aye. If this was a typical day, it would probably be at the job centre. Hands are clean.
Yeah.
With the not-so-cotton candy flavoured vape removed from the plumbing, the toilets can finally open back up.
Stevie assures me it's been repaired and there's no going to be any further issues, so thank you. Or maybe no, shouldn't he?
No, I've washed, honestly. Stevie, the job well done.
The maintenance team aren't the only ones dealing with new problems in the station. As the deadline for the Argyll line work draws ever closer, station staff continue to deal with the daily challenges of the closure.
The closure just now, it's a different workload for staff. It adds other things to think about when you're planning for a blockade like this. It can be intense, so yeah, definitely the workload and probably the stress can increase a bit when you're dealing with things like that. So anything that's going to be therapeutic is a bonus.
Luckily for staff, an answer to their daily stresses might just be wandering into the station.
I volunteer for Canine Concern Scotland. I've Bessie is my therapet, and we visit wherever we're asked to visit.
Therapets are used around the country to improve people's mental health. So today, Drew has invited Patricia and Bessie up to the office to say hello.
Hello. Hello, Dean. You're a wee cracker. So yeah, you're a wee cracker. Can Bessie do an 8-hour shift today? We're short-staffed.
It doesn't mind. Just plenty of treats and plenty of fuss.
Come on, in. Come on. This is Catherine. Catherine would like to meet Bessie.
Of course I would.
Hello.
Hello. She actually works mostly with children now. A reading dog for kids that maybe don't read very well and get embarrassed reading out in front of class if they make a mistake and everybody laughing.
Oh,
they read to the dog and the dog doesn't judge them, and it's amazing. She has been on one-to-one visits with a brain injury patient.
Very good. Clever lass.
She was at university the week before last. There was a against stress event for the university staff. She's got a better social life than I've got.
No, but it's really...
You're a wee cracker.
It's amazing the difference they make.
And there are others in the office who are keen to put Bessie's qualifications to the test.
And this is Bessie.
Hi, Bessie. Hello.
She's just brightened up her days, hasn't she?
Seeing Bessie's effect on the staff gives Drew an idea, which he's keen to float with Patricia's colleague James.
I think it'd maybe a good idea, a monthly sort of visit. It'd be quite good. So who would I contact for that? Well, your good self. There you go.
It's the boss man.
And I tell you something for nothing, you would be the first train station.
Oh, right, I like that idea. First, I'm into this. I like the first. James, what's your mobile?
If we can't get a dog, can we get a rabbit?
Having lifted the staff spirits, it's time for Bessie's onward journey.
That's Bessie leaving.
Bye, Bessie.
I know what my own dog does for me. whether it's getting me out of the house for a walk and into the fresh air. He cheers me up, he gives you that like unconditional love when you walk in the house, like no one else gives you that.
It's too big a jump for wee legs. Yeah.
Having that in your workplace, like if you're having a rubbish day, a rubbish week, like it brightens up your day for sure.
But even with Bessie gone for now, the focus on staff mental health during this busy period will remain.
Everybody's affected by mental health at different times in your life or what you're dealing with, so it's really important that there's a culture there that everybody's looking after each other.
As well as looking out for each other, the staff in Central are always lending a hand to anyone who passes through. Often some of these people are more vulnerable than others.
How you doing, boss? All right? You all right?
Aye.
You all right in your feet and that?
Look, if you're really in a jam, mate, homeless charities in Argyll Street, they can help you, OK?
Staff like Jack are often directing those in need towards the various charity organisations who volunteer around the station, doing what they can to assist those sleeping rough in the city.
They are quite active in like Argyll Street, Hope Street, Gordon Street, Union Street as well. So it's tried and tested by myself that I know that it works. It helps, man. It helps, and that's what it's there for.
Jenna and Paul are part of the street teams working in the Glasgow city centre. And they're about to start their evening shift on Gordon Street in front of the main gates of Central.
We work with a lot of the guys that are rough sleeping or street begging. Basically, we've got teams out from 7 in the morning till 11 o'clock at night most days.
Well, the street team's sort of primary purpose is like get people accommodated, a safe place to stay, sort of tour the city centre and look for anybody that needs support. If they're rough sleeping or if they're in any kind of crisis, we're there to support them. You know, they see the badges, they see the bags, and immediately we've got that trust, which we've built up over the years.
But not long into the shift, Jenna recognises one woman who's been missing for days.
But basically, I don't know if she's accommodated or not, or she's fleeing violence, so I think that's what we need to check with her.
Despite being previously housed in Renfrewshire, she's been spotted rough sleeping in front of Glasgow Central.
What's wrong? You're just tired. Where did you stay last night? Because you never came back down to the hub. What's brought you back through to Glasgow? Have you still got your accommodation in Renfrewshire?
Jenna and Paul must act fast to make alternative arrangements and keep her off the streets.
Heart addiction workers' mobiles ringing out.
You'd go back and speak to one of the caseworkers and...
Hi, Jenna calling from the Simon Community Street Team. Can I speak to a caseworker, please? So we've called up the out-of-hours casework team, so that's basically the council who allocate whatever accommodation is required. She seems quite vulnerable at the moment, and I do worry that she will be left rough sleeping in the city centre again.
Plans are made to make sure she gets the help she needs.
Don't worry. I sort of dread to think, you know, how bad it would actually be if there wasn't services like ourselves getting involved and, you know, saving people's lives, really. You know, the amount of lives just this year alone it's astounding, really. The work they do is phenomenal, you know, and they're saving lives on a daily basis.
The weather in Scotland can be notoriously bad at times, but for the railway, heavy rain and flooding can lead to devastating consequences. In August 2020, a high-speed train derailed just outside of Stonehaven, killing 3 people. The train had hit a landslide caused by poor drainage on the track. So regular checks and maintenance of drainage systems are essential. 2 miles east of Central, a night shift crew are preparing to clear drains at Dalmarnock station. Track section manager for maintenance, Jim, is overseeing the team, and he only has 4 hours to complete the work needed on the platform.
I expect anything to go to plan.
Because Dalmarnock sits below street level, it's been a regular victim of water issues that pose a threat to the railway. So the team must constantly keep on top of the drainage, and tonight is no exception.
Some of these wee channels through here aren't that big, so they get blocked. And once they're blocked, the water's got nowhere to go. It can't find its way into the main drain, causing us the problems.
But to clear the blockages and drain the platform, they'll need access to a high-powered jet machine on wheels, due to come down the track to their location. But the vehicle is nowhere to be seen.
That might be the factor coming. Hi, Graham.
But there's a problem.
Just tell them to move.
Further up the line, another team is blocking the way with work of their own. But with time slipping away, Jim can't afford to wait.
We better go and see what the issue is with the machines.
Multiple teams are working throughout the night at different sections of the Argyll line.
Where's his stuff?
And this has created a bottleneck in the Bridgeton tunnel.
I'm just walking to Brigton Station now. See you in 2 minutes. Right, go and get the Vector. Get the welders out the road. Tell them to move.
What's your name, buddy?
Jim Dougal. I'm the section manager here.
After some careful negotiations with the other teams, the way is cleared for the machine to come through.
That's the hard bit done. We've negotiated their way onto the track. So we're good to see it getting working now.
Now they finally have access to their machine, they can use its high-powered jet hose to clear the blockages.
There's a wee hole. It's blocked in there. There's a hole about there somewhere. See a bit in there? It's starting to look a lot better. You now see the water running right through there and into the main drain. Get another wee jet through there. Aye. You can see the water flowing right through now.
With the blockages cleared, the platform is effectively drained once again, ensuring people's safety for this section of the railway. Things are winding down for the evening at Glasgow Central Station, but for some, the night is just getting started. Tonight, the station is hosting a sleep-out event. Over 20 people are showing up this evening to spend their entire night on the cold floor of Glasgow Central in order to raise awareness of homelessness around the city.
The music's going to come from there. You're going to be here, and that means you can leaflet and get the message across.
It's the first time the station has hosted an event like this since the pandemic. So the team are keen to get it right, down to the last detail.
You shouldn't be doing this.
How?
Because you're a station manager. I'll get it. I'll get the cardboard up, all right?
And Chris, can I have a table as well, please? On 3 or at 3?
Hey, this is a comedy moment.
Right, go.
1, 2, 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, that will be the highlight.
As the first participants arrive in the station, the staff are busy with last-minute preparations for the night ahead. Drew has arranged a musical performance to help draw a crowd from the late-night passing public, while Ross is making last-minute checks behind the scenes.
The site's set up. They're going to be doing comms. People are starting to arrive now, they're getting briefings.
Thank you for participating in our sleep out. So just give yourselves a big round of applause for being brave enough to sign up.
Jack has a very important job tonight, keeping everyone fed with a very special soup made by the staff.
I'm on soup duty as well.
Oh, are you? You're on
so
soup.
Don't tell anybody that.
I haven't mentioned the soup.
Don't mention the soup.
Okay.
Don't mention the soup. Don't.
Secret soup. Don't know what's in it.
Wee Claire says put lots of water in it. Lots of water in it?
Going to keep us going all night, though.
She don't bring us in a ladle. I know. I mean, surely we've got a ladle up in the kitchen, man. It's barbaric. Soup duty is a highly trusted position, so people don't really understand the intricacies of what I do here. No, but really, these guys are coming in, it's quite chilly, so if I can just help it a wee bit, even as something as simple as making some soup for them, making sure they get something warm to eat, then every bit helps, doesn't it?
However, there will be no hot soup or musical performance this evening if another vital issue isn't solved fast.
The electricity, how's it not on?
So 2 connectors.
Right. Let's see. So that's the wrong board. What about the mixing desk? Is the lights on?
No, mate.
We should have just left it plugged in instead of unplugging it.
No musical performance will drastically reduce the visibility of the event.
We're having a wee bit of electrical issues due to the fact that neither me nor Ross are electricians. Why is that one no staying up? It's tripped, man.
And where does this one go?
Don't know, bro. Seek advice for the experts, am I right, Ross?
With no answers, the team have called on the help of maintenance team leader Stevie to help solve the problem.
It's dead stiff, but use your strength. It's Chris we're talking about here, you know what I mean? So maybe...
I was at CrossFit, so I'm a bit weak.
I don't know, man. They come up to me, like, and went, here, what do you want me to do with that, with this? They came here with this. And I went, oh, that needs to get back in, man. So I don't know what they've done with it.
Determined for the event to be a success, the team aren't giving up just yet, but time is marching on.
It's 11:15. Way past my bedtime.
Meanwhile, out on the railway, the trains are about to stop for the night, and Network Rail engineer Tom is about to go trackside.
Most of night shift is us just faffing around, making sure that I've got everything, because once you get a mile down the track, you don't want to find out that you've forgotten something.
Tom is joined by colleague Mario, who, like Tom, has dedicated most of his career to one particular cause: safeguarding Scotland's railways against our volatile climate, responding to landslips and weather emergencies whenever they arise.
So myself and Tom work quite closely when we do have emergency incidents. We've spent many a time on site working day and night trying to get the railway back open again.
So this is just photos of like landslips. So that was at the top of the slip, so you can see the railways right down there. So you can see all like that hillside moved away. And that's once we started excavating the toe of the slip. So that photo was taken up the top there. That was kind of the size of the slip there. In Scotland overall, we are seeing the effects of climate change at an accelerated rate compared to the rest of the UK.
We're seeing flooding and landslips in areas where we never used to see them at an increased rate.
We know that the west coast of Scotland typically has had wetter weather in the past and can cope with a sort of higher volume of rainfall, but the east coast is now seeing a higher volume of rainfall, which it hasn't historically. As our summers sort of become warmer, we are seeing that impact of a changing climate on the railway. The
warmer the weather gets, the more energy there is, so the more rain that can then hit the infrastructure. So, yeah, it's been particularly bad over the last couple of years.
We do a lot of proactive work with our landslips, so this is a lot of proactive stuff that we're doing. We've identified vulnerable sections, we're going in and we're fixing them, which removes that risk. It's a subject that's close to our hearts, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, we want to get this right.
A lot of sleepless nights, yeah.
A big part of Tom and Mario's work is preventative. Tonight, they've come to a flashpoint that Mario has identified as high risk of landslips in the future. They plan to remove the water ingress from the land and reinforce it against any future failures, an operation known as a regrade.
It's one of the first times I've been out on this site, track access as well, so you can see quite clearly there, there's a saturated area there, the first couple of metres of a slope, wet beds as well. So.
It's the same as any geotech site in that we don't know 100% until we start digging into it. So we could dig in and find a retaining wall.
Yeah, with Crawford. Yeah. When you're
Tom and Mario only have until morning to complete the work. However, they're already up against the clock and the rest of the team have yet to arrive.
At 5 past midnight, that's the possession granted. Then what they've got to do is the ES gets that possession, they get the work site, they have to put on the isolation, and then once all that's confirmed, then they've got to on-track the machine, do all their tests, and then come to work.
As Tom and Mario wait anxiously to get started, back at Central Station, the team are also working against the clock. A mysterious power cut is threatening to put a dampener on the entire Sleep Out event. And even maintenance team leader Stevie and station manager Drew seem stumped.
We had to actually FaceTime one of the maintenance guys, Stevie, try to talk us through it, and it just Nothing was working. It was looking like a complete disaster.
Well, we've tried everything there, know what I mean? You can't really... Half. Turn that upside down in case there's no switch in the back of that that says turn this on.
Sadly for Jack, no such button exists and the team seem all out of luck.
The red socket, right? Don't know then, Stengo. Don't know, mate.
But with the window to catch the passing public slipping away, station manager Drew has an idea.
How many sockets does he need?
Just one. Got an extension, it says I've got an extension for the mobility point. There's an extension.
The socket is behind.
Aye, there. Guys, we've got an alternative.
Finally, signs of life begin to flicker on the sound desk.
Got power, mate? Cook me gas. See, mate, when there's a will, there's a way.
With power now available, the performer can finally fire up for a song.
Andy, the guitarist and the singer, he's attracted a crowd. But the guys look as if they're ready to go to their beds, so this is going to be the last song, and we're going to set up like the campsite, so to speak, and let them get a good sleep.
Thanks very much, everyone. Good night. There was a lovely crowd, lovely crowd. Bit of music livens everything up, and yeah, people were enjoying it, weren't they?
Happy with the impact of the event, the sleepers can settle in for the night, although they're under no false impression about the true struggle faced by millions every day.
I think it's a wee bit different when you actually try and put yourself in the shoes of the people that you're raising the money for.
Using thermal, everything, sleeping bags, a full meal, in a safe place. You know, a lot of people that are homeless have got none of those things.
We're lucky. We're the lucky ones.
We are the lucky ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that much hardship really, is it? Yeah.
No.
It's a bit cold. We'll get by for one night.
Back out on the railway track, Tom and Mario have been waiting patiently for the rest of their team so they can start work. As the time reaches 3 a.m, they finally appear.
I was getting a bit nervous, I must admit.
As I say, at the time as it's going on at the minute, we've got to be away from here 5:20, and it is just 3 o'clock, so not long. Plus, we don't know what the ground's like. Yeah. It may be wet. I didn't think it was this short a time up here. I really didn't.
Yeah. Have you got a good machine man?
Yes, I've got a good. I've got a good machine man.
And you're always against the clock on the railway.
The team now only has a few hours to complete the regrade before the trains come back on at 6 a.m. With no time to lose, they head out to the site to begin. And on arrival, it's immediately clear why their work here is vital.
But you can already see how wet it is, so there's obviously water moving through this slope, which is why we've come to regrade it this evening. And what we're going to do is, with the clamshell attachment, they're going to excavate sections of the toe of this saw cutting.
Before the machine can start tearing out the wet soil, careful preparations must be made.
So they're marking up the extents to our excavation just now.
Half a clam in.
Yeah, half a clam in, yeah.
They're scanning it to make sure there's no cables or any other signalling, telecoms, any other buried services in the saw cutting.
However, the team might have found something unexpected already.
Yeah, there. Yeah.
They might have buzzed something, which is why they're hand digging, so obviously what you don't want to do is put a machine through it. If we take out any cables, it could disconnect the entire section, which would make a bad day a very bad day.
What do you think, Callum? What do you think?
An electric cable has been detected deep below the ground.
Is it your high voltage?
Yes. It's running right. I've just kept him off half a metre off it.
Yeah. Have you dug down to it, or have you not found it?
We've done a trial all here. We've got 450 down.
We got one running downstairs. That is it going to be in our road.
Right. So there's a 450 cable that we've picked up on the CAT scan. So what they'll do is they'll hand dig, they'll expose it, and then we'll not use the machine to excavate in that area.
We're only going to come to here.
Right, start
So-
there with the clamp.
Well, start up there if you want.
Oh, right, yeah,
Yeah,
forward.
yeah. Me and Ash will keep you right, Graham. Yeah.
It's accounted for, but we're already under pressure. They're starting to excavate that toe of the slope. That's all the saturated material that's started to make its way to the track.
Just typical Saturday night, isn't it? Typical railway. It's just the same.
As the drenched soil is dug out from the side of the railway, Mario needs to find out why this site has become so wet.
The two roads are coming down there, so you've got that home farm road, and then there's another road that ties into that before it falls down, so it's like a kind of pinch point, so there must be a lot of water seeping through there, but hell of a wet there when you see it, isn't it?
After some further investigation, he might have discovered an answer.
See the pipe? At the bottom of the wall there. So
if I just move my hat around.
There's one in the wall right behind us at the moment, and there's another one there.
Oh, sorry, is it coming out the wall just there? No.
Ah, just there. So that's another sign that there's probably been water coming in off the road that's above the railway there. It's just another root cause of why they're seeing the amount of water that's there. So there'll need to be further investigation works to see if we can try and cut it off above the railway, because it's always best to catch the root cause, but because it's got to this stage, then that's why we've had to put in the stone regrade at this small section.
With the site fully excavated, the team lay down a permeable membrane and refill the hole with stones to provide drainage and support to the slope above. But these aren't just any stones.
So it's a type of stone that's come from a quarry that's been graded and is angular in nature. And what that allows us to do is it interlocks with the other stones, creates that sort of cohesive structure that will keep it in place. It's doing a really important job. So by protecting those earthworks, it's stopping at that location, it's reducing the risk of any potential failures or landslides, and it's helping make our railway more resilient in the face of a changing climate. My ode to the 6G stone. To regrade or not to regrade? That's the question. Obviously, the answer is yes, because it pays my wages. So
you might need to keep that one in case you run out of stone.
As Tom soon finds out, Mario isn't joking. On top of everything else, the team have been thrown yet another curveball.
He's cleaned out, like. So.
I had a quick look. I was hoping that you might
have enough.
You might just die.
Just a little bit short, not a lot.
With time counting down, the team have to fetch more stone to complete the job.
So what's it taking you there and back? Half hour?
Yeah, something like that.
We're pushing.
But forever the optimist, Tom is still confident that they'll succeed.
We timed it from the road rail access point to the pedestrian access to the site, so we know how long it takes us exactly to travel. As I was once told, there's the right way, there's the wrong way, and then there's the railway. And if you remember that, you're fine. And it's getting light again, look at that.
Yeah.
With the sun coming up, success or failure is now minutes away.
Callum, once he comes down for here, can you just go around and trim the edge of the terram off?
It's now just gone 10 past, sun's coming up, which means it's time to start running trains again.
Thanks to the efficiency of Tom and Mario's team, the work is completed just in time for them to safely evacuate the site.
Like, we're gonna give up the possessional isolation with just a couple minutes to spare. So they're gonna start moving the machine back, there it goes. So they're gonna make their way to the access point, final few checks, and then that's us done. Easy, eh?
Once you get a start.
Despite the many challenges, the night has been a success, and Tom and Mario have secured yet another railway site against Scotland's volatile climate. Those who work throughout Scotland's railway are constantly fighting to protect it from elements come hell or high water. But while water has often posed a threat to the city of Glasgow, it also brought life and opportunity in the form of the River Clyde. The links between the transformative industries of the river and the surrounding railways have often gone unnoticed. But Central veteran and history buff Paul Lyons knows just how strong they are.
My father was a welder in the Clyde for many, many years. The railways in the Clyde are completely intertwined with this city and the people within it. If it was Clyde built, it was the best ship in the world. To this day, Glaswegians in particular have such an affinity with the River Clyde and the men that worked there.
One man who remembers these formative years of the Clyde firsthand is retired welder Billy, who worked on the Finniston crane when shipyards still dominated the skyline.
As you can see, it's quite substantial. Can do a bit of work, you know. I've not got my tools with. As an apprentice, I've probably been up at more or less weekly basis, to be honest. Well, it's not for the faint-hearted.
Billy has come to ascend the iconic crane one last time alongside Paul to rediscover the lost links between the railway and the river.
I made it. What a view. Just need to lie down now, Billy, for a bit.
I used to have a lie down. Fabulous.
Isn't it?
Joining Paul and Billy is Riverside Transport Museum curator John, to help recall the history of the Clyde industries.
Does this bring back memories, though?
Oh, aye. Yeah, definitely.
You must have seen a big change in the city.
Oh, aye. If you looked right along the length of here, right to Port Glasgow, it was wall-to-wall shipyards. You still see the old dock there. That was a dry dock.
I can see my mind's eye standing here, do you know that?
There was a pub out there called the Doctors. We used to go to the gaffer and say, "Can I get a pass out?" Why? I said, "I'm going to the Doctors."
With a workforce that once numbered in the tens of thousands across 200 shipyards along the river, the influence of the River Clyde has shaped much of the Glasgow we see today, even on the platforms of Central Station.
I think the railway, to this day, mirrors the shipyards in some way, because we've all been together for many, many years in Central, and it's like a big family. And I've told my father these stories, and he's always said that's the way it was in the yards. In Central, we still use terms, quite unusual terms. I was quite surprised when I went to Euston Station to be a manager there many years ago now. I went into their communications and I said, "Can I see your docker?" And this guy said to me, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "The timetable." Now, the reason that we still refer to it as a docker comes back to this place and comes back to the River Clyde itself.
The term you used there when you says that when the trains come in, they go into a berth.
Yep.
Right, and that's a shipbuilding term.
Exactly.
And it shows you how it's cross-pollinates between the different situations.
Yep. There's no other railway station in the network uses those particular terms. And I can see the tie-up and the connection between the railways, the Clyde Port Authority itself, and it seems to have been quite a smooth operation throughout the decades.
That also links in even to the passenger travel coming up from the south and from England. Bringing in the people, bringing in the industry and the business people to work at these works.
Well, that's the thing. The raw material that would come into Central Station by train. Central was a hub that fed stop crossing in places like this. It's an amazing achievement during the Industrial Revolution.
It's incredible to think that a fifth of all ships manufactured in the world were manufactured here on this river.
But while the Clyde famously launched thousands of ships into the world, it also launched thousands of trains on the water too. Huge locomotives bound for destinations as far as South Africa.
Glasgow was the home to so many industries. This workshop of the world idea. Out of Glasgow went thousands of locomotives. Glasgow was the home to the biggest locomotive builder in Europe, the North British Locomotive Company. And a lot of those were going abroad. So it must have been quite a sight coming through on these low loaders with police outriders, and they'd all be coming either to this crane to be loaded on to the ships. So either the cranes here on the north side of the river or the south side of the river were almost in constant use.
And as you can see with this structure, this is what we call the slewing mechanism. This was when the whole unit turned round. The electrics in it, well, have you seen down below, it's 6,600 volts.
So it did take a huge amount of power to actually move the thing?
Yeah, it did. So they were amazing structures. The manufacturers of locomotives, the builders of the ships, the people that worked at Stobcross, they all had the same skills. you know, and moved about, because that was quite common in the shipyards.
My father, when I was telling him I was coming up to do this the other day, started singing the song in the Clyde. And my mother hated that song, I don't know why.
Did he just do it to annoy her when he had a wee huff in him? Aye.
It was a wee quick bit, the hammers ding dong.
Aye, no. I left the shipyards and I got a job, a posh job. But the thing is, I suffered from was loneliness. I missed my mates, missed the patter.
The friendship.
You know, I mean, we had 30 electricians. Some of them were the best dancers and waltzers in the world. One could play a clarinet just through his nose. I found it very hard when I left the shipyards.
And I think it was that friendship, the hard lives that these guys had, that brought them together.
I'm quite proud to be up here today because it's taken me back to a lot of happy memories. I just a tribute to the men that worked in the locomotives, who constructed this crane and worked in the docks. Like Glasgow was some place. I'll get my job back now.
Stories like Billy's are just one example of the close affinity Scots feel with their shared history, which is partly why Jackie and Paul have been busier than ever with their tours in the station. Jackie is busy booking in customers when suddenly she gets an unexpected email.
Cannot believe, just cannot believe. Good afternoon, Drew.
How you doing, Jackie? All right?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Have you seen your emails?
The emails? I've been on emails all day.
Oh, you look at the most recent one. Please tell me I'm not misunderstanding the message.
It says good news. The board now approve the CPMS deep clean, so it's all
Victorian platform is a go.
It's a goer.
It's a goer.
Good news all round. However, I was a bit of a surprise.
It was an absolute shock.
This shows you.
I cannot believe it. I'm numb. Absolutely numb.
But with the sudden funding approval coming this late into the low-level closures, there is now only a very small window for the chosen contractor, Charlie, to complete the work in time.
It's whether we could get into the current blockade, the low level.
It's really going to be down to Charlie to see whether or not he's got the manpower and whether he's got the machinery to get in, because everything else is ready to go. If you can touch base with Charlie as soon as, and then we can get moving.
Yeah.
If he needs me to come in and shovel stuff, I'm fine with that. I'll drive one of his vehicles if he needs me to.
With no time to lose, an up-to-date inspection must be carried out on the Victorian platform to determine if the work can be done in time for the reopening. Jackie has called in John, the project manager, and building surveyor Gillian, who will be working closely with Charlie, the contractor, to examine the site and find out if the dream is still possible in the short space of time they have.
Top tip, mind your head.
Yep, mind your head. So I don't know if you saw the last time, Gillian, the lighting.
Yeah, no, that was in the last time it was down.
So the first thing that needs to happen, clearing of the area, get rid of all the rubbish that's lying here.
Is it contaminated waste, some of this?
No, we've had everything tested. So we had asbestos,
water's been tested, asbestos has been tested.
It's all clear.
Okay.
It's all...
Am I imagining this jacket, or is there more crap here than there was? There is more crap here than there was the last time we were down.
That's come from your existing works?
Isn't there?
Aye.
Do you know what? It is what it is.
Lots and lots of rubbish. It's just years and years of people using this as a dumping ground.
Literally just start at the far end.
Far end, bring it on.
Bring everything here.
I think it's going to make a big difference, and I don't think until it's away we'll realise just how much it's going to change the whole appearance once all the rubbish is out the way. I can't believe it's happening. If I'm real. I know.
All the backwards and forwards, the backwards and forwards.
I know, the yes, no, yes, no. Stand down,
Stand down,
get
don't
ready.
do anything.
It's been a wee bit of a roller coaster, but it's been worth it. It'll be worth it once this is cleared.
The only thing is we don't know where this stagnant water's coming from, so we need to try and find...
No, I think we know.
You know where it's coming from?
The water is coming, believe it or not, from a room. One of these arches has been blocked off and there's water gathering in there. That'll need cleared or sorted for the work to be done. There's nothing to take through there.
Is that the boiler?
The pumps.
Aye.
So take all of this away. There'll be no rats at all. We don't do rats down here. We'll have scared them off.
Clearing the site during the closure window will allow for John's team to come in for the next stage.
Literally, we're just stripping everything to make this a clear site for John and his team to come and put the new railway track in and hopefully the new engines at some point, eh? And carriages, that's your dream?
That's my dream.
What our proposal, if I just want to catch you on this one, what our proposal is, see when you clear this site, Network Rail staff will use their volunteering days to install.
Right, OK.
You know, so, and there'll be a great opportunity for some of our younger apprentices to come in and build a railway.
And also to get the experience on the older track, which is not done very often. That is another bonus.
It's bullhead track as it would have been in the day.
Yeah.
When recreating a full Victorian station complete with its very own steam engine, it's important to get every single detail correct, right down to the original style railway track used by the Victorians back in the day, a style of railway called bullhead. This innovative style of rail track was designed to have an identical head and foot, meaning it could be flipped when it started to show wear and tear.
I had very strict instructions from my friends at the Railway Heritage. It had to be bullhead track. I didn't even know the difference.
Once you start to build that track will be in within a couple of days.
Really? Oh my goodness, I thought it was going to take weeks.
No.
Going to be involved in building a railway.
However, with the inspection now complete, Jackie has one big question left for Gillian. Will the work still even be possible at this late stage?
We were running out of time with the blockade, and we've only got 3 weeks left, so...
it's going to be a challenge to get this done within the 3 weeks that we've left of the blockade, and then get all the rubbish off-site and get the machinery off-site. So that is a challenge, but we're up for a challenge, aren't we, Jackie?
Aye, absolutely. What would life be if it didn't have a wee challenge now and again?
Absolutely.
I can't stop smiling. I'm really sorry. I can't stop smiling. I am delighted. This is a huge step forward in developing the Victorian platform. First in Network Rail across the UK. This is going to be something else.
Next time on Inside Central Station.
There is a pressure on the pump operator to manoeuvre it under what is quite a complex site. If we came into contact with the overhead lines, we'd have to stand down.
This is a massive project they're doing down here.
It gives me a blank canvas to fulfil some of the station's dreams. We've talked about developing down here for such a long time.